Hi everyone, my name is Marta and I am a final year PhD student at the University of Surrey. This is a short talk about shaping research culture around credible and collaborative practices. So in essence, I will be talking about community building, and it is a bottom-up approach as I will be talking from the perspective of an early career researcher. Throughout the talk, there will be quite a few links to different resources and other talks you can access if you want to learn more about this topic. So if you would like to access the slides, the link is here at the bottom as well. So first, I will start talking about the bottom part of the approach, which means that we are talking about early career researchers in open science. This is not to say that the talk is only for early career researchers. I'm sure that it will be interesting for individuals at any career stage to learn about this topic. However, a lot of community building in the context of open science is currently being done by early career researchers. And as I will explain, we are quite well based to address those issues. So firstly, I would like to direct you to a talk given by Anne Scheel from Eindhoven University of Technology. Here is the link to that talk as well. It's titled Vanguard or Cannon Fodder, ECRs at the front line of open science. So firstly, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that early career researchers are in a special place in the context of open science, mainly because we are often progressive and idealistic. And we want to really work in a way that helps us to develop the best practices for our research, which means that at the moment, this would regard making our research open and reproducible. We are also closest to the data. We are there ready to employ skills and solutions that will help our research to be more open. And we are still training and developing best practices. So this is really a good time for us to think carefully about how we are approaching research before we develop those best practice skills and approaches for our future careers and for establishing a new culture in research. However, open science solutions are often seen as costly to open career researchers and to any researchers really. And some of the costs that are mostly mentioned regard the fact that it requires extra time and effort. Time is something we rarely have, and we already put a lot of effort into our work. So knowing that there is a demand for more time and more effort kind of puts people off a lot of the time. Other open science costs that are often mentioned is the fact that we might be making ourselves more vulnerable to criticism and scrutiny. And that creates worries about the fact that maybe our work will be undermined with regards to its credibility and reputation. So if we make our work more open, we are opening up the sort of opportunity for other people to find mistakes and errors in our work. And if we are thinking about furthering our careers and proving in our field that we are a good researcher and trustworthy researcher, maybe putting our errors available for others to see is not the best way to reach that sort of credible and reach that perception of being a good researcher. So we want to see that the research culture develops in a way that is more accepting of errors, and that through community interaction, we are learning from those errors, learning from one another how to improve and how to take science further. And actually, errors are just the normal, natural part of this. So hopefully I will be able to show you how open science practices and community building help to alleviate some of those perceptions of the costs that are associated. So with regards to community building and research culture, I have got a nice picture of a trash bin here where I have dumped those open science costs. And I'm not here to say that we are completely dismissing those costs and those worries. We are just helping to alleviate them and think of them as more manageable. And this is through community support and research culture that is more collaborative supportive and collaborative, basically. So firstly, I will expand on the supportive part of community building. As you can see, I have my Open Science costs card here, and I have crossed out the time and effort. So I think that supportive community can help to alleviate the worries regarding the extra time that we need to put in and the extra effort. Mainly because through the community, we have more access to actually learning about the issues surrounding the lack of openness in science and the way that research is being conducted. So having the opportunity to discuss those issues and learning things that we might not have considered before is really crucial. And this can be facilitated through seminars. Twitter is also a really great resource for that. Different podcasts and an opportunity to directly share experiences. So I have some logos here of different communities that have helped me personally to learn more about open science practices and the issues, why they are needed. So this includes the Open Science Special Interest Group that we are part of now, the Science Reproducibility Society, which I founded 2 years ago, and I have been the president of for the past 2 years as well, and also reproducibility. So this is the journal club that takes place at different universities and opens up the opportunity to discuss different issues that might be relevant for our work. As well as learning about the issues, it's very important to find the opportunity to train and develop new skills to address those issues that we are discussing. And here, access to resources is really crucial. So we would be looking for communities that help us to gain that access. Open Science Special Interest Group, Reproducibility Society, and Reproducibility are all great for that. But also there are lots of other routes that we can try and take, and that would be through online courses, training courses, workshops, and independent learning resources. I have added a few links here that you can check out in your own time if you're interested. And I would like to highlight the fact that the UK Reproducibility Network do a great work, especially here in the UK, to also provide those opportunities for training and finding additional resources. Going further, once we have learned about the issues that we need to address, and once we have learned how to use different skills to address those issues in our own work, and we have this sort of expertise of applying those solutions, we should really think about sharing our knowledge within those communities. So again, we can go back and share with the communities that we already have access to, but we can reach further. So here I would like to draw your attention to the Thought project that creates a lovely platform where they collect resources for teaching open and reproducible research practices. What we want to share might differ depending on what we do. So this can be relating to our data directly, or methodology if it's something related to our project, but also things like how-to guides, methods papers, or teaching materials as well. Those are very valuable. And what you can see here within the context of this supportive community is that we come a full circle. We come from the sort of learning about the issues that need addressing, through learning the skills to address those issues, through then sharing those resources and giving back to community once we have managed to apply them ourselves. With regards to collaborative culture, you can see on my Open Science costs card, I have crossed out the criticism and scrutiny, as well as the worries about credibility and reputation, perceived costs, so to say. And this is because collaborative culture can really bring a lot into our own understanding and our own approach to the work that we do. And this is through the fact that we identify common issues and barriers to credible and open research, and we join our efforts to find solutions together. And by having different perspectives and different expertise in the work towards creating those solutions for open and reproducible research, we become more confident in the solutions that we have. This might help us to receive some constructive criticism and scrutiny early on. And when we do share our work in the end, even though there might be some errors and mistakes that we are originally worried about, we generally might be feeling more in control of being able to kind of address those issues in a positive way and learn from those issues. One important thing about collaborative culture is the fact that we need to strive to make it as inclusive and accessible as possible. So this is something that will then ensure that we can get that variety of perspectives and get that scrutiny or constructive criticism coming from different directions and different contexts. Collaborative culture might be facilitated through lots of different ways. It can be hackathons and collaborative projects that develop over time or are just a very short term. You build your network, you find experts coming from different fields, and that really helps to enrich the projects that you're working on. And hopefully we would like to see that it helps to accelerate the impact and the application of those methods. So one example that I can share here is the project that I have been working on called Neuro Systematic Review. And this is for creating resources for systematic reviews that are non-interventional, but also reproducible and open. And last year during the Open Science Room, I was taking part in a emergent session called Improving Data Synthesis with Open and Reproducible Approaches. And the link is here at the bottom as well if you were interested in finding out more about this. What's really great about this project is that it's a global collaboration project, and it does bring that perspective from people from different fields. And we really feel like we are trying to create resources that will be used and will be relevant to lots of people across different disciplines. So now thinking about the whole process, so the supportive community and collaborative culture, and taking this approach from the bottom to its up, that I guess links to the long-term impact of the approaches that we do. And when I say impact, a lot of the time that makes people feel quite nervous, because this is often what we are judged on as researchers. Does our research actually have any impact? So what do I mean by impact? Is the fact that our work, thanks to the community support, might gain increased exposure, and there might be better access to credible practices for researchers beyond our immediate networks. So opening up the work that we do in a way that kind of strikes for inclusivity and accessibility really can have an impact that is greater than in a situation where our work is not open. Also, what we would like to see is that by training from early on, from our early career stage, taking our skills and our values towards our future careers will help to change research culture and establish credible practices and open research practices as the standard practices. So in the future, we hope that closed science will not be something that is practiced normally anymore. Accelerated research process is something that I have already mentioned as well. And this is where we face issues in our work, we address them, and we share our solutions so other people can benefit directly from this. And as an example, I want to show you here, there is a quick link to a cognitive paradigm that I developed during my PhD study, and I made it accessible quite early on in my PhD as well, even before publishing my research, just to make sure that it's there, and if anybody has any feedback, I would be very open to that as well. But what happened is that I had an email from a researcher from Australia who wanted to use this task in their own work, and that was absolutely mind-blowing and exciting for me. And I was very happy that this researcher wouldn't have to spend all this time creating those resources from scratch, and that they have this available for them to speed up the process. Here again, we go back to the more efficient evaluation of findings. So as I was hoping to get some comments or feedback about my probabilistic learning task that I created, this can be applied to any part of research cycle. So this can relate to the fact that we pre-register our hypotheses and make them open early on, and we seek community feedback about what we are trying to find. It can be methodology, it can be results if we preprint our research. If we establish a good network and a good community support early on, we might be more likely to get this feedback earlier than sort of before reaching that stage when we're ready to submit our work for publication. And that again gives us this feedback early on and makes us more confident about our work and makes us feel that we are doing the best that we can. Lastly, the healthier research culture. So through fostering support and collaboration, the research culture changes from this competitiveness and this unhealthy, stressful culture to something much more healthier, where we feel like we are working towards something together, and we are working towards impact and improvement for research and for our areas of work together. And we are not so possessive over our work anymore, because it becomes a community effort in the end. So I'm hoping that this makes you feel a bit more hopeful about the impact and the importance of community support and collaboration in the context of open science. To finish off, I would like to say special thanks to all colleagues and collaborators and researchers working towards open, reproducible, transparent, and credible research across all sectors of academia, all career levels, and all institutions worldwide. The two logos that you can see in the top are the sort of community efforts that I have helped to establish and lead over the last few years. And on the bottom, you can see the ones that I have contributed to. Those are not the only options that you have. There are possibly community initiatives in your local networks that you can join, whether it's a reproducibility or sort of wider global network like the Open Science Room at the Open Science Special Interest Group. It's just about finding those opportunities and finding ways to collaborate. And one thing that I would like to emphasize and stress is that it doesn't matter what career stage you are at. There is always something that you can gain from interacting with those communities, and there is always something that you can contribute to those communities. Doesn't matter how advanced you are or how much you know about open and reproducible research. So I would really like to encourage you to contribute, and if you feel like there isn't enough around you, maybe to even lead some community efforts yourself. Thank you for listening to my talk. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, I will be here at the Open Science Room doing some hands-on sessions on community building, and you should be able to see me around as well for discussions. Thank you.